Program Director, the members of the National Science and Technology Forum and invited guests. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. I wanted to come yesterday, but we had a meeting that I had to attend, and so I couldn't make it yesterday. But when the invitation came, it mentioned that there's a discussion forum around language and STEM education, and I was just requested to have a discussion with you for 20 minutes about policies. And now policies we can take almost a year. I mean, it's such a wide area of topics. So I chose to focus on the new job that I just started in. I just celebrated my 3rd month last Saturday. So I've been in that job for 3 months, just to make a sense of application of policies that are developed at national, in a province, which has got a myriad of challenges, especially legacy-related challenges. I don't know of any province that has historical legacies such as the Limpopo province, in itself. I'm sure all the 18 departments of education existed in the Limpopo province. Remember, you had Venda, you had Gazankulu, you had Lebua, you had House of Representatives, all the houses and homelands except Transkei, Ciskei, and KwaZulu-Natal, but the rest existed in the province. So if you are to take the language question in such a complex environment, you'll appreciate the challenges that we face. So I thought maybe we could share with you just how the landscape looks like, from a schooling point of view, because I can see that we are discussing issues of schools. My background, as it was indicated, is in science. I did chemistry and biochemistry, and when I was doing a BSc, we were very proud because we had colleagues who were doing BSc, but then they had mixed courses from the natural sciences and from the social sciences. Now, those of us who were proud is because we had pure sciences, and it was just chemistry, maths, physics, zoology, botany, and then you went to 2nd year maths, biochemistry, so you didn't have maybe English or history or geography. But I realized that we were disadvantaged, those of us we felt that we were proud. It's only later when I was doing postgraduate degrees, especially UED and BEd and MEd, that I realized that we were very, very much disadvantaged. When I was doing biochemistry in the 2nd year, at the time, Mr. Ditoy was our biochemistry and looked at our reports. Every week we went to laboratory. He didn't care about, a whole essay, whether your English was right language or it made sense. He just wanted to know, did you hit for 20 minutes? And you're saying, you hit at 20 minutes, he gives you a right. Refrigerate 5 minutes, you get a right. So there was no sense of the logic of what you're saying, as long as the facts were mentioned, even if it's just half a sentence or phrases. But when I started to study in education, I realized there were lots of things that were underpinning what you were saying, and they need to come, they need to be made visible. The thoughts that inform your statement must become visible. And that's where I was now interested in, because when I was teaching, after my BSc and BSc honors, then I went to teach high school, biology, mathematics, and physical science without an S, because now we've got physical sciences as a subject, which is philosophically different from physical science. So that's where I realized the challenges that are different, the real challenges from the laboratory challenges. So the real context, I met the real context. From a laboratory context to a real context, it was such a movement. And that is why in my master's I investigated, at the time in the 80s there was a people's education movement, but it was very silent on science, and so my investigation was around the people's science, why the vacuum on people's science in the people's education movement. And so I had to attend courses in sociology, which I missed in my junior degree, and philosophy and so on. So I had to attend, but we didn't have an integrated curriculum. So in the morning I had to attend Faculty of Science at Wits. In the afternoon I had to go to the Faculty of Education. So the disciplines were different, and the languages therefore were different. So I had to find a language that I think I'll be able to communicate in across the two disciplines. And so that's where the language issue comes in. But nevertheless, let me give you a picture now. Our, I think, language policy after 1994, if we were to unpack its underpinning, it is underpinned by additive multilingualism. Because we are having 11 official languages, additive multilingualism assumes that if I had learned, let's say in my foundation phase, language X, when I go to the intermediate phase, I don't have to proceed with language X. I can do language Y because I've gained a foundation in some language. So it's easy to, if I did Xhosa in my foundation phase, it assumes that I can go and study in Venda in the intermediate phase. It's not a tabula rasa. In other words, I'm building on something. There was some language structure that was given to me in my foundation phase. So that is the philosophy that I think informs our language policy. And how does it apply itself in the real context in the schooling system? What is the picture that is emerging? And when we analyze that picture, what is it telling us? Okay, so that is what I'll be indicating to you, and some unintended consequences and some intended consequences. Now, the schooling system currently, the majority of learners started grade 1, but the policy says grade R to 12. So not all schools have grade R. Now we are pushing to make sure that we have grade R in the foundation phase. All learners who are eligible to start schooling must start with grade R. It tells us that those who missed grade R, they go straight into grade 1, they've already missed something. And if you talk about language, then already some language is missed, so they'll have to catch up. And some of them didn't even do preschool, because in our system, preschool, or let's say lower than grade R, let me call it before grade R, it is another department that is responsible for that. It's social development, it's not Department of Education. So already, if you look at preparing the young, the little, for schooling system, we have another department that is playing a major role. And then also not all schools have grade R, meaning that also there's another foundation that is missing. And so here I'm just indicating in the case of the Limpopo province that we are starting to see a number of schools having grade R. So I know that all of you look at the roof before the foundation. You look at grade 12 and that's what you're interested in. But I think if we're going to talk about the roots, the foundation, I think we need to ask ourselves about this area. So I'll come to the foundation phase after this. We are starting, here you see the number of schools are increasing. And the target is to have 100% by 2019 in the province, Limpopo Development Plan for the province. So that is what we're working towards. So these are the number of schools, more than 2,000 schools, and we should see all of them offering close to 3,000 or so, offering school grade R in the foundation phase. But there are implications for that. When you offer grade R, it means you must have qualified teachers to teach grade R. You must have posts to teach grade R. Currently, we have what we call grade R practitioners who must now enroll for NQF level 6 qualification. And what is contained in that qualification, we need to ask ourselves, are we preparing them very well? If we are talking about the language question in STEM, are we preparing them to some of the theories that we are discussing here and make sure that they are part and parcel of that program? And then once they are grade R practitioner, is not a teacher officially, because a teacher is in a post and is salaried according to the post. So grade R practitioner is additional to that. And because grade R and pre-grade R were a responsibility of another department, and that is why you had practitioners playing a major role. So now they must be converted into teachers. The consequence is that they are not mainstreamed, and therefore the grade 1s are the ones who are, grade 1 teachers are the ones who are now officially appointed as teachers of foundation phase. And so these teachers, what is happening, because we don't have enough grade R practitioners mainstreamed, so the load is now on the foundation phase teachers. So as a result, the class teacher learner ratio in foundation phase in the case of the Limpopo province is basically above the norm, the standard, if you like. You can have a standard set at national level, 1 to, I'm not sure whether it's, we've got 1 to 33 and 1 to 43, something like that. But you might find 1 to 80, number one. Number two is complicated by multi-grade teaching, multi-grade classes. So you'll have in one class, people who are in grade 1, 2, and 3 at the same time. And then multi-grade, and also you'll find it especially in farms and so on, where it's a very rural environment. And you can't wish it away. When you plan, you'll have to take it as a reality. It's not a theory. It's a real situation which you can't change it overnight. Now, when you plan economics now, and you are heading a treasury department, you are worried about this. So, and multi-grade classes very often are small because the community is small in the farm, and learners who pass, you'll have one teacher, and these learners, maybe they are 10, 15, 20 there, 5 in grade 2, 10 in grade. So you are forced, as they graduate, you must also teach them. So it means the way we teach, we must think about these realities on the ground and what they mean for laying a foundation for learning in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, amongst others. Okay? So that is a complicating factor. And sometimes you might find an area sitting between villages that speak Venda, Sotho, Chitsonga. Okay? So then you've got a multilingual now environment, which complicates matters.